Hi, welcome to Maggie Chats Books. Today I'm going to do my Texas Book Fair haul. I was able to go to the Texas Book Fair on the 4th of November. I did a vlog and I'll link that below. I have a lot to learn on vlogging. It was my first attempt, so bear with it if you do watch it. But I did get quite a few great books and met some really nice authors. So I'll start with the first one, and that is Sisters First by Jenna Bush Hager and Barbara Pierce Bush. These are sisters. They are twins, daughters of George and Laura Bush, the president and first lady. They wanted to write a book about being sisters and what they went through, their life in the White House, and prior to the White House when their grandfather was actually in the White House. So they've had quite a history. They've also lived in the governor's mansion in Texas. So politics has been around them most of their life. They have chosen different paths. Jenna is a newscaster on the Today Show, and Barbara has started her own nonprofit organization which supplies AIDS medications to third world countries. This book is predominantly about them being sisters. I got to see them speak. Their mother was also there, which was kind of cool. The books were pre-signed, but we did get to have our pictures taken with them, and they were both very sweet girls. I enjoyed that one. The next book is by Dan Rather, and it's What Unites Us, and this is his take on how we can bring the United States back together again. We are very divided now. He compared our time now to the 1960s during his talk. He said we've been through rough times before. We can get over them, but we need to meet peacefully to discuss. His talk was only about 20 minutes. It was very informative, and his thoughts I thought were in a good direction to solve some of our problems. And so the book is pretty much looking to make our country the best it can be without putting somebody else at risk. That book was also pre-signed, and we just picked it up when we got there. The next three books were from ladies on a panel that I got to see. Lisa Coe, Zinzi Clemmons, and Melissa Febos. And these women spoke about writing during political times that are pretty controversial, as well as the big burst in social media. And so each of the women spoke about their books and then also talked a lot about social media, to the point where Zinzi Clemmons is from the publishing industry, and she said that now publishers are depending on their authors to use social media to promote their books, when it used to, in the old days, be that the publisher's job was to promote the books. And she had a little problem with that because she felt that was part of the publisher's job, because sometimes authors don't have the wherewithal to promote their books in the most positive way. They all talked about how much presence they felt that they should have on social media, which I found very, very interesting. So if that ever is posted on YouTube, I really recommend you watch that. But I was able to meet all three authors. The first, Lisa Coe, and this is her book, The Leavers. This book is about a boy that grows up in, I believe, New York, and his mother leaves him, and he is adopted by a white family, I believe. He is Asian descent. When she read the book, she read part of the mother story, so if you watch the vlog, you'll see her discuss that. She did sign the book. Really interesting woman. I'm looking forward to reading this book. And she did personalize the book signing, which I thought was very nice. As did Zinzi Clemmons, and she is What We Lose. This book, although it is a fictional book, it is based on when she experienced the death of her mother. Her mother got cancer, and it is some part autobiography, but mostly fictional book. She read some of it. It was very difficult to hear because it is talking about her mother dying in the hospital. She is, like I said, from the publishing industry. She had a lot of insight on how the publishing industry has changed with social media. I gotta say, this book cover is just absolutely gorgeous, and this is another book that I'd heard about but decided not to get until I went to the book festival, because I really wanted to get this and meet her. By the way, all the books were supplied by the Book People, which is one of the best independent bookstores, I think, in the United States. It's in Austin, Texas, and so you actually paid the full price for the book, and then they gave money back to libraries and the community one of the biggest things in the Texas Book Festival was to resupply the libraries and the school libraries of schools that were destroyed in Hurricane Harvey in Houston. So I thought that was wonderful. You could also add $15 to any purchase, and they would match that to get books for children who aren't able to afford books, and they call them the Reading Rock Stars. So I thought the whole effort really focused more about reading and giving back to the community in the form of books. So that was that one. She also personalized the inscription and was quite interesting. She had just the best personality in that she had no problems speaking to anybody, which I find would be, for me, would be very difficult, but she had no problems doing that. And then the last book of that one, that talk was Abandon Me by Melissa Febos, I believe. She is a writer that writes an essay, and she said for a while nobody wanted to publish essays, and she just had to get in at the right time. She said it took 7 years to write some of these essays in here, which I found absolutely fascinating. Lisa Coe said it took her 8 years to write The Leavers. So these women have really invested a lot of their time in these books, and I found that amazing. So this book is essays about herself. If you watch the vlog, she talked about her name being Melissa and how she had issues with that. And when I spoke to her, I said that I've had problems with my name because nobody could pronounce it. It's, although I go by Maggie here, my real name is Marguerite, and people call me Margaret or different versions of the name and don't know how to pronounce it. And I said I had a problem with my name too, and we discussed that a bit, and she was quite funny and just really amazing to talk to and listen to. She also personalized the book as well. One presentation I wanted to go to was Afrofuturism, and it was about African American writers in the science fiction field. The gentleman that I wanted to see was, I'm not going to say his name, I'm going to put it up on the screen because I will butcher it, I know, but he wrote After the Flare. He was with Nicky Drayton, who I also saw there, but did not get a book signed because I had already gotten her book, and it's Prey of the Gods, when she launched it in July, I believe, in Austin. So I already had that one, but she was also there, and they discussed what it was like now that African American authors are more recognized in the science fiction field, which wasn't always the case. I did miss the talk. I'm looking for it on YouTube. I hope somebody posts it because I was really interested. It was just, there were 300 authors to see in 2 days. I only had 1 day, and I got my times mixed up and was at the other talk that I just spoke about when this one was going on. So as soon as I could, I ran over to the signing tent and met both of them and got this book signed. The strange thing is, I thought this was the first book. I just watched Russell's channel at the Ink and Paper blog, and he said that there is a first book to this, Nigerians in Space, so I will be getting that before I read this one. But it is about Nigerians going into space, and this is kind of an apocalyptic book. I believe there's a flare and people are trying to escape the planet. That's all I kind of know about it, but can't wait to read this one. Like I said, I did meet Nicky Drayton again. Her book is Prey of the Gods. I haven't read this one yet. I do want to read it. I've read her short stories and really enjoyed them. But she, because I'd already had the book, gave away some bracelets and some trading cards. So I thought that was cool too. A little swag. The one author that I wanted to see that I did not get to see was Min-Jin Lee, who wrote Pachinko, and she was just at a time that I could not make it. Her signing was also during a time where I was at something else, so I didn't get to meet her. When I went back to this book sales tent, they had autographed copies of most of the authors that had been there, but hers were gone. So I didn't get to see that, and I have been waiting to buy that book, so that's one I missed out, and I'll just have to get the book at another time. But I think she is the one of my top that I wanted to see that I did not get to see, but I got to see everybody else. The author Angie Thomas was scheduled to be there, and she was the other one that I wanted to see, but she was not able to make it, so I didn't get to see her, and that was probably the other author that I missed other than Min-Jin Lee. So as I was walking around, they were giving away some things, and one of the books they gave away was Richard Shapiro's Arms from the Sea, and it's this one, and this is just the dust jacket because my freshman in college daughter came home, saw the book, and she took it with her to read. Sounds like kind of a science fiction book, fantasy book, And it's a young man who commits a crime. He takes a pill. It takes him into another dimension. That's pretty much all I know about it, but it was a free book. I thought, you know, why not give it a try? I do like science fiction. With a little bit of fantasy is also okay, so that will be one that after she reads it, I'll find out what she thought, and if she thinks it's good or something that I will read it as well. Otherwise, I'll just donate it to the library or something like that. That's pretty much all I got for the Texas Book Festival. It was really enjoyable. I know now what to do and what not to do. This was my first time there, so when I go next year, I will have a better plan. I have a feeling because it is so popular, more artists, authors will be added to the agenda, and it will make it even more difficult to pick the ones that you want to go see. But I was very happy with the ones that I did get to see and looking forward to reading the books. So if you read any of these books, please let me know what you thought of them, and I will talk to you later. Goodbye.